Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Soul Shift. We are on a roll now, Chris. This is our third one on time. Yeah, something like that. We hope to stay locked in. It's hard. It is 7:37. We usually record these much earlier, and that didn't happen, but we are committed. So we're recording anyway, even though I'm falling asleep. How was your day, Christopher?
Oh, it was good. It was a good day.
Good day. Today was a good day for me as well. Anyway, today we are talking about ADHD and ADHD in adulthood, more specifically. And ADHD, Christopher, do you want to explain what ADHD actually is?
Um, it is being really hyper.
Not necessarily always being hyper. It just means that your brain doesn't have like an off switch or a slow down switch. It's just on go all the time.
Yeah, I think it's processing information a little bit differently than typical people do.
Yeah. As you probably know by now, I was an educator, specifically a special educator, and ADHD was a part of my day every single day in general education and in special education. A lot of children had diagnosed and undiagnosed ADHD, and I knew how to deal with it. A lot of parents did not, and hopefully this episode will help someone maybe in that situation. But my dear Christopher here also has ADHD. I think, is yours undiagnosed though? Yeah,
Oh,
he's undiagnosed ADHD, and we'll get into some stuff later, maybe it's Christopher's story about why that is. And he recently realized, I think he always kind of knew he had ADHD, right?
yeah.
But recently he saw a TikTok. TikTok's a great place that really opened his eyes to some more things. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so I was kind of just in a doom scroll at like 2 a.m., just in a never ending feed. And one of the things was like an ADHD thing. It's like, hold your finger down if you've got this. And I ran out of fingers and was like, oh man, this is probably for me. And started talking to Danielle about it. And it was one of those things where she's like, I've been telling you that for 7 years.
I really have been. I really have been. Christopher he doesn't come off as hyper. And a lot of times with adult ADHD, you are not going to be considered hyper. It doesn't usually come through as hyperactivity. Christopher specifically, he has these patterns of being hyper focused on something. And I mean like hyper focused. Like it is his thing. He's into it. He's doing it every day. He wants to get it done, whether it's cleaning, whether it's a new hobby, hyper focused. But that amount of energy he puts into it leads to him being burnt out and not being able to do anything. He'll just lay there for 2 or 3 hours or fall asleep because he's just burnt out because he put so much in the beginning. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, kind of. What was the term? Because we looked it up. What was it
You're
called?
talking about ADHD?
No, the hyper focusing. It was.
You did tell me that.
Oh, I was looking for it. I wrote it down too.
It starts with an M.
Yeah, it starts something. But we were, for a long time, Daniel would just call it Christophering because I would just be locked in on whatever it is. And I decide that I want to do that. Like I'm focused on that. And it's weird because a lot of the times when you hear people talking about ADHD and it's, oh, these people have a hard time focusing. It's like, no, I just focus on what I want to focus on. Has kind of been my experience of it. Like,
I don't even know if it's what you want to focus on. It's literally what your brain will allow you to take in at this time.
there.
Yeah. And you're right. ADHD in adults specifically, well, as children, especially when I was teaching, those kids were just labeled as the bad kids or the talkative kids, the kids that don't listen. And in adulthood, a lot of ADHD adults, because it does not come off as being hyperactive, they are actually characterized as being lazy or inconsistent or they lack follow through, which Makes sense when you see, how it presents, but is it fair? No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have any tendencies of it that make me come off as lazy.
Only if someone were to see you after the burnout. But I don't think it's lazy because I see how much you're doing before the burnout happens. But when you hit the point of you can't do anymore, like you've Christophered it and you've done too much, you will just lay there and do nothing. No, like you don't have any more to give, and you will be there for hours. Did you know that 70% of adults with ADHD are undiagnosed?
Right?
No, it's not. But that's a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, especially with like it being with you the undiagnosis of it and how it presents. I think it just is misdiagnosis a lot of times.
Yeah,
So like people
I
are
agree with that.
probably suffering from ADHD and they're thinking it's something else because they're mislabeling it or it's coming off as another mental disorder or some type of other neurodivergent thing,
Yeah.
and it's probably just
Yeah, I do feel like ADHD, when it's diagnosed, that's typically where the autism or Asperger's diagnosis pops in. And not to say that autism and ADHD don't go together, because they do. It is a whole thing. Um, However, a lot of children are just labeled as autistic when they really may just be, you know, having issues with regulation, which makes sense. ADHD to me is a regulation disorder. It's not just attention deficit. They're having trouble regulating.
yeah. And I do think that's part of it. There's definitely some impulse control for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big part of stuff I struggle with.
Yeah.
Oh, monotropism. That's what the word was.
Yeah, I knew it was an M. In your experience with ADHD, do you feel that it makes you more forgetful?
No.
No.
Part of my struggle with it, and I don't know if this is everybody's experience, but I think it's kind of like, and I don't know which parts of it are me, like it's my like intelligence, or which parts of it are the ADHD part. But I feel like it's almost like a superpower in my ability to hyper focus and meticulously go through something in the way that I do. I feel like is a gift, but it's also like a double edged sword.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you feel like you knew ADHD was a struggle for you as a kid, or did you just recognize it as you became an adult?
It's definitely been it was definitely a struggle as a kid, but it wasn't labeled or framed in any kind of way that would be conceived of as like ADHD. Like that didn't exist in my childhood. It wasn't like you don't have no ADHD. It's how all the adults
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
it.
Especially in the Black community. I hate to say it, but it's true. Mental health is not talked about enough, really, or ever. When someone has a mental health crisis, it's just labeled as you either need to pray it away. That comes up a lot. You need to go to church and pray it out, or you are just bad. You just need you're not doing something right. This is on you. Or they put it on drug use, alcoholism, so many things we will give reasoning to other than mental health. And mental health is the very last, if ever. It usually never comes up. So I saw children who I knew had things they needed to address, needed assistance with. And I had so many parents, specifically African American parents, that would say, "Oh, I don't want my child labeled. So I'm not going to do the testing. I don't want any extra assistance. I don't want my child labeled." And I understand that. But when you have a child walking around struggling with their brain and they can't regulate and they come off as just hyperactive, they're being labeled anyway. And I think Christopher had that same experience as a kid. You were labeled as like the bad kid, couldn't keep still kid.
Definitely couldn't keep still. I don't think I was. I had some years on and off. It'd be like some years are fine and other years, and I think it was a lot of things going on. The years after I moved schools, it seemed to be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially as a kid where you don't have the vocabulary or aren't really able to explain yourself, it can be tougher.
You probably don't remember, or even you probably didn't even notice it when you were a kid, but what was it like, or how is it now to have known that you had some behaviors that are clear signs of ADHD or something needing attention, and it was never addressed in your house? Do you think that there was any knowledge of it, or just not being able to recognize it?
I don't know, and I've never really asked. It was, like I said, it's kind of one of those things that we just kind of grew up with it, and it wasn't treated that way. So it was something that was, like you were saying, that is not what you have. You don't have it. You just need to chill out.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, it's framed my relationship with it even as an adult. Like, that's how I don't feel like I need to medicate it. I can will myself through it.
That is very true. And it's very frustrating because me actually having experience with it, having, a lot of background knowledge of this, I see Chris's struggles with it. And when he says he thinks he can will himself through it, he truly, truly means that. And I've tried to explain to him, and I don't know, it's never me. No matter what I say, it never gets through. It has to be someone else or TikTok, and it'll click. And I'm telling you, I have told this man, I was like, this is not something you can will away. It is a regulation disorder, and your brain is not allowing you to do it. You can't, outsmart your own brain. Like, that's not happening.
And this is my personal journey. I do think, and maybe medication is for some people, I do think with like the knowledge and the right attitude towards it, I've read a couple books about it, and that has helped me learn how to manage it in a better way. And just concepts of that give me the language with myself to how to deal with it. Like, just for example, I think I was watching Trevor Noah talk about it. And he was talking about his focus as if it was a spotlight, and just using it to be the person as the observer of yourself, and just turn that spotlight to what you want to look at. And he's got ADHD as well. So when he was talking about it, I was like, that is exactly what it's like. And it's like, once I was able to take myself out of that basically, and like look from behind on myself and be like, yeah, you're getting off of focus. You're off course. Like, turn it over here, use it like here, point it here, now point it here. And once I was able to do that with myself, it made me able to regulate it better.
Yeah, Trevor Noah is. I don't know if he's autistic and has ADHD, but I do know he has ADHD. He's like a proud advocate for it. So I
was listening to him talk about it, and it was really powerful. I was like, I related to that so much.
Yeah,
I was like, exactly this.
He really dives in deep on that. You probably follow him. He probably does a lot with it. I don't follow Trevor Noah, but I have heard those things about him. So that's awesome. Something else that I want to say specifically to Christopher, but it is a trend, but I see it more now than I did in the classroom because I live with him. Systems are a massive part of someone's day to day who has ADHD. And things like calendars, reminders, having a structure and a system for whatever is a huge part of having ADHD, especially if you have ADHD and autism. Systems are going to be everything. And for Christopher, everything has a system. There's a system to before work, during work day, after work day. He plans every night for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, his calendar, the alarms, everything has a system. And that seems to be he's really locked in more to his system and accepting, kind of like we talked about, not trying to will it away, but he's really accepting that he needs a system. And that has helped him so much from my point of view. What do you think?
I'm glad you brought this up.
Oh, no.
Because I forgot about this one, and this is the biggest, so there's the system, but then there's working on the system. So there's two different, it's again a double-edged sword. So the system helps, but as long as I'm letting the system do its job, which is something I had to learn, and I did not learn it until which app am I on now? Because I keep switching the app, and then I'm trying to rebuild the system in this app, and then I get so caught up in building the system that I'm not even. It's not working for me anymore, and it's kind of like what she was saying, where like I get burnt out redoing something, or I see a new feature on this app, and now I'm trying to migrate the entire system over here and get it to work, and it's just like.
Yeah, it is very interesting because, like I said, as a teacher, I saw these things in the classroom, but living with my husband, who what he said is, I can't even, you'd need to see it to understand. Christopher likes systems. I like a good to-do list and system as well. I like a process. And Christopher said there's this app called TickTick. It's great. We can use it. He made files for us, sections. Great. I love TickTick. I'm doing it and doing it. We do it for about a month and a half. And I see Christopher, he's on the YouTube search and on his phone looking at other systems. And I was like, what are you doing? We're using TickTick. It's great. He's like, yeah, I'm not switching it, but I'm just seeing what else is out there. And that's the key. He is not searching, quote unquote, but he's just looking to see what else is out there, which leads to him now being hyper focused on the new system he came across. And now he has to try it. And 9 times out of 10, when he tries it, he wants to start using it, paid or unpaid. He's going to start using it. And now all the work he put into the hyper focus stage in TickTick, he has to now do it all over again. In, I think his second app was Motion. And then somehow, for some reason, I follow him to all these different apps. So I went from TickTick to Motion. Now, I will say Christopher knows it's a little nutty, and he will help me transfer my stuff because he already knows it's too much. And then we were Motion for a while, and then the cycle continues. And then we went from Motion. I think that's when we went to, what is the app we used? Alana? What was it called? Asana. I think that was the next one.
Todoist.
Oh, yeah. Todoist was before Asana.
The Notion phase.
Yeah. So as you can see, I have all these subscriptions. I had to cancel them at some point.
We've reined in the subscription monster. That's not.
The system's not changing, though. Christopher has a system. And the point is, it's not to shame. It is to say that if you have someone with ADHD, just understand that they need the system because they have to work on a system or else it's chaos in their brain. Maybe not in real life, but in their brain, it's chaos if they don't have the system. Yeah?
Yeah. Now, do you remember in like elementary school when they brought like planners out?
I do love a planner. Huh? I love planners.
Yeah, so like we didn't have planners probably for like until I was in like 3rd grade, and they changed my life. I was like such a good student after that.
Well, yeah, Christopher, you are incredibly smart. I've said before, you're one of the smartest people I know, but I'm sure that if you were smart, so school was easier for you naturally, but you would either finish things very fast and be bored, which would cause you to act out because now you have nothing to put your attention on, or you would need that time to focus and study on something and then you really couldn't do it. That's why reading is probably a challenge. You know how, but you can't focus on a sentence long enough to even get the point and retain it. Yeah.
I'm so much better at consuming stuff. So we're like auditorily.
Yeah.
From the audio perspective, like I can listen to it all day, like a podcast or audiobooks, just like let's go. But I cannot just like make myself read. It's just exhausting.
Do you feel like you have to work twice as hard to like keep up, or is it the system that helps you not feel that way?
No, I don't feel that way. But my ego is probably out of control.
Okay, fair. Fair. So what else do you want to tell us about or your experience or ADHD? Anything else you want to share?
I think that if you feel like it could be for you, then you should look into it more. Knowledge is definitely power for sure. In my experience, it has been just awareness of it, and depending on how strong it is for you too. Because for some people, I'm sure there's degrees to it.
Yeah.
but being aware when it's pulling at you is really, really powerful. For me, like, once I was willing to accept the fact, because I think I always thought I had it, but it wasn't like I wasn't looking for signs of how it's affecting me or how how it's acting on me, like as if it's an external force almost. And once I started to conceive of that and was seeing, like, once I read it, I would see when I'm at work, I could feel myself getting pulled off a task. I'm like, why is, like, just focusing, like, just locking in on trying to balance that and keep it on the road when that is happening has been really powerful for me and helped me really get focused.
Yeah. And I think it's important to understand for anyone that could be relating to this, that just because Christopher was able to read about it, learn about it, and he's able to do it without therapy or medication, you have to do what's best for you. And there's no shame in going to therapy. There's no shame in needing medication, because I cannot imagine. I tell Christopher this all the time. I can't imagine how exhausting it is to be fighting your own brain all day. And everyone
would actually encourage anybody to not do what I'm doing. That is not the right way to go about this. That is nonsense. I just am, like I was saying, I am perpetuating bad habits where I was really like, you can will yourself through this. That is not the route you should take.
Yeah, and even if you can, why do you want to? Yeah, like, you don't have to.
I would encourage everyone to get help. And I am also benefiting from my wife being really knowledgeable about it. So I just bounce ideas off of her. Instead of going to talk to people, I just talk to my wife about it. That's a little, it's close to home. It helps me get through it.
I do psych him all the time. We're right back in methods often. But he is very correct. If you don't have that kind of support, or maybe if there's no reason to suffer if you don't have to, and there's no reason to be at war with your own brain, which I can't imagine if you don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it's from an audiobook I was reading, but it does relate to this somewhat. And it was basically, you're not your thoughts. Like, your thoughts, like, they come into your brain, but you don't have to latch on to them. And the concept was basically like, if you envision, like, looking at your stream of consciousness, the thoughts are coming in, but you can just watch them float down the river. You don't have to hang on to them. Like, hanging on to them is what causes suffering. So just being aware of that and using that information, I think, is pretty powerful.
I went on Reddit and I was doing a little ADHD, real life dive for this episode. And I picked out the top questions I saw repeated the most in the threads. And Christopher, I want to see how you respond to them. So someone asked, I didn't put their usernames in here or anything, but how do you distinguish an ADHD moment from just typical stress? Do they feel similar?
I'm sure that I'm probably giving some of the ADHD moments to stress. Like I'm not labeling some of the stronger ADHD moments for what they are. But for the most part, the way that I do think they are different. And I think that, like, the ADHD moments are, at least in my experience, you can see them, you can feel them acting on you when you're, like, trying to do something else, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm, like, stressed out about something, and even if you're, like, stressed out about something and you're constantly overthinking it, that can be an ADHD response as well, because I will get hyper fixated on that thought, and now I'm obsessed about that, and that can lead to depression, which I think is a lot of times what ends up getting misdiagnosed for people. And it's the hyperfixation on that specific topic or whatever is bothering you, which can metastasize into something greater.
Yeah. That's I was actually, I mean, when I read it, the question doesn't really relate to me, but I can only imagine how that might make you feel crazy going between the two.
And I kind of, like, I do that a lot with my thoughts, where, like, I'll just go back to something that happened earlier and just be, like, thinking about it over and over again, just being like, And I do think that's an ADHD thing. Like it's just
Yeah, because ADHD is also pretty closely linked to anxiety, which it helps that, my background and the fact that Christopher does experience it. I've been very focused in making sure these things don't turn into anything too big for Nova. Nova does have anxiety about social interactions, which if you met her, you wouldn't know. But she could do something that she thinks is awkward, maybe she did the wrong thing, and she will think about it for weeks. And she's just turned 6. And she said like last week she answered a question, I guess she answered it incorrectly in school. And she thought about it last week. We've been out of school for a month now, and it just came back to her mind. Okay. So the second question was about communication with having ADHD. How has ADHD influenced or changed your relationships?
recently I think I've always done it, but I have been noticing people talking to me and my brain is just gone off somewhere else in the middle of this sentence. And I am like trying to reel myself back in, feel like, hey, pay attention, listen to them talk. Cause I'm like, and it can be me just thinking about something that they said. And now I'm like thinking about that thought, and they're like, "Oh snap, they're still talking." And I gotta look back and snap back into the conversation and try to use the context clues to figure out what they were just talking about. And then, like you were saying, like there's sometimes where I'm really burnt out and I just do not feel like trying to people, and I cannot get up to do that. Like it is just too much right now. And that's probably created distance for me in a lot of relationships.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, yeah, that makes sense. How do you best stay organized and avoid burnout?
I have been creating routines. Um, I started with setting goals, and then I created routines that would help me meet those goals, and then just focused on executing on that every day. And that's been really powerful.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that process for you.
So
Okay. There was another little piece on Reddit. There was an ADHD wins of the week. This whole thread is about ADHD. Um, do you have an ADHD win of the week? Like, did you respond to an email the same day? Were you able, like, what win do you have in battling your brain this week?
it's been going on the last week, but I've really just been fighting any type of procrastination with a vengeance lately. So like if I feel like, especially now, we have a lot of stuff that we need to do and it's not time to be like getting ready to do it. That's not an option. So I've been really focused on, if I have something, I'm figuring out what the next step is, and if it's not something, if it needs to get done now, I'm doing it now and I'm knocking it out immediately.
I have to say, I can confirm that Christopher has been. There's no, it's so funny because he has it down to like the laundry. I think he said it's a 24-hour turnover or something. Literally, I will come up the stairs in my outfit that I wore today, and he's like, "Wait, are you sleeping in that? If not, take it off. Like, I gotta do the laundry."
Cleaning that hamper tonight.
He has a this process he's in where he comes home, he does dishes right away, he puts away the dishes from the night before. Because Christopher gets home before me now, based on my commute, and he has a whole plan in place of what he's gonna do, and it has he's just not he doesn't procrastinate. Like even today, it was so funny, but so adorable at the same time. Nova loved it. There was a fly downstairs, and I heard Nova come because we don't kill bugs. Ladies don't kill bugs in our house. And she came up the stairs just like she does.
I don't kill bugs either, unless my wife or daughter sends them to death. And so, like, I don't kill them. Like, if I see them, I'm just like, hey, man, you better get out of here. Because if one of the girls see you, it's a wrap.
That is so funny because we both are immediately calling him to come and handle it. But this is a fly. So I was like, oh, he's not going to get the fly. He'll look for it later. And I heard her, I was in the other room. I heard her say, Daddy, there's a fly downstairs. I need you to get it. And I was saying he's just going to like say, if it's a fly, Daddy will get it later. And he won't get to it. He's going to forget. I looked over and he was like up. He was like, babe, seen the fly swatter? And he was down there hunting this fly for like 7 or 8 minutes. And he was determined to follow through and get that off his to-do list. And Nova appreciated it so much. And she thought it was so funny. But yeah, you've been following through rapidly with everything down to the fly.
You gotta get it done.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's saying like it could be a maturity thing. It could be an ADHD thing. Like I've been working really hard on just getting better, so that's I think a big part of it. But
Yeah. You told me you're trying to be 1% better every day.
every day,
Yeah.
should be 360% better every year.
Love that. You have anything else you want to share?
I just would like to encourage people to explore that if you think that's for you. Definitely try to get help. Um, talk to people that you trust, that you think would be, good influences and have your best interests at heart. And you're not broken, you're just wired differently.
Oh, love that. Well, if this resonates with you in some way, you have questions, my DMs are always open. If you have a message for Chris, still send it to me because I've told y'all before he's not going to check the messages. I'll relay the message to him. But truly, just if you see something in here and you have questions, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. You don't have to be at a battle with yourself for no reason. I think that's it for us today. Anything else you want to add, babe?
Nothing. Thankful to all my fans out there.
All right. And on that note, we'll see y'all next Wednesday. Bye.